In this episode, I'll be sharing 10 of the biggest misconceptions, stereotypes, and just straight up lies about Sri Lanka. Hey guys, welcome back to FTD Facts. Leroy Kenton here, and I'm glad to be exploring Sri Lanka with you guys once again, but this time coming from a different angle. So we're gonna look at some of the biggest lies, misconceptions, and stereotypes of Sri Lanka, and then we're gonna clear them all up. Okay, so starting at number 10, Sri Lankans speak Sri Lankan. Okay, one important thing to note is that Sri Lankan is not a language, it is a nationality. Sri Lankan people speak various languages, most commonly Sinhala, or you'll find people speaking Tamil, depending on which part of the country that you go to. Sinhala script has those interesting curves and swirls and lines. It looks very interesting. Now, Tamil is a Dravidian language that came to Sri Lanka from India. English is also very commonly spoken in the country, especially in big cities, as well as for governmental matters. Number 9, all food is spicy in Sri Lanka. This is a big one for Americans especially. They assume that all Sri Lankan food is just so spicy and that it should be completely avoided because it's just too hot to handle. Well, Sri Lankan food is similar to Indian food, as you can imagine. There's a lot of spices in curry, roti, etc. But Sri Lankan food is not necessarily really known to be super spicy, but rather it's known that the foods are very flavorful. But of course, some dishes are spicy. And since it is an island, Sri Lankan food has a lot of fish and tropical fruit incorporated into it, and lots of flavorful noodle and rice dishes can be enjoyed as well. Number 8, Sri Lankans become doctors or store owners. Yeah, this is a big misconception about Sri Lankans and just South Asians in general. It's that if they go to another country, they're going to become doctors or convenience store owners, or maybe even work in IT. But it's often assumed that if you are going to college or university, it is to study medicine for the most part. But you'll find that Sri Lankans study and pursue all sorts of fields, like business, finance, construction and engineering, and media arts and entertainment. So those stereotypes, they're just not true. Number 7, Sri Lankans are either very poor or very rich. South Asia is often depicted in the United States and other English-speaking countries as being very poor. And the focus of study, especially in geography, it tends to focus a lot on the poorer and desolated areas of countries in South Asia. South Asia is also depicted as being very dirty in different parts of the world. Now, there isn't much focus on the beauty of South Asia or the very large population of the middle class. This misconception that Sri Lankans are either very poor and have probably lived a life of hardship and struggle, or on the flip side that they're either super rich and live in palaces, well, that continues due to the focus of study in foreign countries. Number 6, this is a big one. Cricket is the national sport. Yeah, this one comes as a surprise to pretty much everybody. You might assume that it is the national sport, even though it's the most popular sport in the country. But in actuality, the national sport of Sri Lanka is volleyball. Now, this sport was introduced to the country in the year 1916. Now, there is the Sri Lankan Volleyball Federation. That's the main governing body of volleyball in the country, and it was founded back in the year 1951. So yeah, Sri Lankans take their volleyball very serious. Now, we looked at 5 lies so far. We have 5 more to look at, but if you haven't seen our video about facts about Sri Lanka, we go a lot into the history of Sri Lanka, the meaning of the name, as well as other interesting facts. I'll link to that video down below in the video description section where you can enjoy it after this one. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Link to that video is below in the video description section. Okay, continuing to number 5. Sri Lankans are not fluent in English. So get this, guys. There are people who are born in Sri Lanka who know their native languages. So why should they want to converse with somebody in English? And you see, it's often just easier and more comfortable to not speak English with somebody who speaks Sinhala or Tamil. That goes with anyone from any country. But because they speak their native language amongst themselves, doesn't mean that they're ignorant of the English language and they're not fluent in it. Number 4, oh boy, Sri Lanka is owned by India. See, this misconception is in part part due to the fact that Tamil is spoken in both India and Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka is an island about 30 kilometers off the coast of southeast India in the Indian Ocean, more specifically the Bay of Bengal. And some scholars actually believe that Sri Lanka and India were once connected by a land bridge. This goes back thousands of years, but over time it's covered by water, and that's no longer the case. Either way though, India is the only neighbor of Sri Lanka. Both India and Sri Lanka are republics within the Commonwealth of Nations. So no, India does not own Sri Lanka. And now number 3, this lie, it's pretty similar to the one that we just talked about, that Sri Lanka is just like India. Now, there is a world of a difference between these two countries, although they are neighbors. But one of the biggest, of course, is that they're located in different places. Sri Lanka is an island, India is not. And the people, the culture, the religion, nature, and landscape of the countries, they're completely different as well. And at the time of filming this video, the population of Sri Lanka is about 21.5 million, and the population of India is 1.3 billion. That's a huge difference in population. So you see that the countries are not necessarily the same. And it's also said that various parts of Sri Lanka are a lot more clean than India, just due to the fact that the country is built differently, as well as they don't have as many people in the country. Number 2, Sri Lankans are mostly Hindu. Due to its connection with India, many foreigners, they just assume that the majority of Sri Lankans follow some form of Hinduism. However, according to a survey done in 2019, Buddhism is actually the largest religion of Sri Lanka, with 70.2% of the population practicing the religion. Then following that, we have the Hindus, but they're just at 12.6%. Then there's Islam at 9.7%, and Christianity sits at 7.4%. This survey said that most Muslims follow the Sunni branch of Islam, while the Christians are mainly Roman Catholic. And finally, the biggest lie we're going to look at in this episode: Sri Lanka is unsafe. This is the biggest misconception, stereotype, and lie about the country that I could have found for this video. Sri Lanka is actually a safe country to travel to, and especially hanging out with your friends and family, or even traveling solo. There is another side to consider though when it comes to the safety in the country. The weather can be very unpredictable, like monsoon season can really wash out roads, and swimming and surfing in Sri Lanka can be very unsafe. And also sometimes the remnants of the Sri Lankan civil war rises up occasionally. But visiting Sri Lanka as a tourist is very safe, and it is unlikely that you'll be harmed physically. So no, you can throw that stereotype, misconception, and lie out into the water. Sri Lanka is a very safe country to travel to. And that's a wrap, guys. This was a look at 10 of the biggest lies about Sri Lanka. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one and learned something new. Leave a like if you did. Don't forget to check out the recommended video that I have for you below in the video description section. And if this is your first time here to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted. We explore the various different countries, cultures, religion, and people of our world. So if those topics are of interest to you, join the FTD family, and I'll see you guys in a future episode.